Most people think emotion makes them human. Machiavelli believed emotion makes them weak. He watched kings crumble not because of their enemies, but because of their feelings. Pride, fear, love, rage, all powerful, yet all dangerous when uncontrolled. He once wrote, "He who controls others may be powerful, but he who controls himself is mightier still." That's not just philosophy, that's war strategy. Because when your emotions rule you, every manipulator, every sweet talker, every threat owns you. But when you can stay calm while others panic, silent while others scream, and focused while others crumble, you don't just survive, you dominate. This is the secret Machiavelli understood, the art of turning emotional chaos into mental dominance. And today, we'll break it down the Stoic way. Before we dive deeper, if you're into Stoicism, strategy, and mastering your mind, you're in the right place. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who's always battling their emotions. Because here on IMSA Red Frost, we don't just talk motivation, we build mental armor. All right, ready to see how emotion becomes a trap? Let's begin. Ever noticed how the smartest people sometimes make the dumbest choices? They knew the risks, they saw the signs, and yet they still walked right into the fire. Why? Because logic never stood a chance against emotion. Anger blinds, love excuses, fear freezes. Emotion, when left unchecked, becomes an invisible prison, one that feels like freedom because it tells you you're following your heart. But Machiavelli saw through that illusion centuries ago. He believed the most dangerous weapon wasn't a sword or an army. It was emotional manipulation. He watched rulers destroyed not by force, but by their own impulses. Men who mistook passion for strength, mercy for wisdom, and anger for power. To him, emotion was the perfect trap, a leash that the clever could use to control the powerful. And if you think that's just ancient history, look around today. Influencers play on envy, politicians weaponize fear, marketers tug at desire. The tactics haven't changed, only the stage has. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time you react without thinking, someone, somewhere, profits from your reaction. You click what enrages you, you buy what comforts you, you follow what flatters you. That's emotional control, from the outside in. Machiavelli warned that those who can't master themselves will always be ruled by those who can. And that's exactly what the Stoics understood too. They didn't kill their emotions, they tamed them. Because once you realize that emotion is just a storm and your mind is the sailor, you stop fearing the waves. You start learning how to steer. But let's make this personal. Think of the last time you lost your temper. Maybe someone insulted you, or life threw you something unfair. That rush you felt, that burning need to react, that's your mind slipping the leash to your emotions. And in that moment, anyone who knows your triggers owns your decisions. That's why Machiavelli called emotion a liability in power. A ruler who can't hide his anger, or his love, or his fear, gives away his strategy before the war even begins. And a modern person who wears every feeling on their sleeve, they become predictable, and predictability is weakness. The Stoics had a word for the solution: apatheia. Not the absence of emotion, but freedom from emotion's control. They taught that the only real power lies in what you can control, your actions, your judgments, your choices, never the chaos around you. Emotion in itself isn't evil. It's energy, raw and neutral. It becomes dangerous only when it drives the car and you're asleep at the wheel. That's what this chapter is about, realizing that emotion is a tool, not a master. Once you see emotion as something to use rather than something to obey, you start building what Machiavelli called mental armor. You become harder to provoke, harder to manipulate, harder to break, because you're no longer reacting to life, you're responding to it. And that's where true mental dominance begins. Machiavelli wasn't cruel, he was honest. While others wrote about how people should behave, he wrote about how they actually do. That's why his ideas cut so deep. He didn't paint humanity as noble. He painted it as it is, selfish, fearful, ambitious, and fragile. And the sooner you accept that truth, the freer you become. He believed the first step to mental dominance wasn't controlling others. It was understanding them. Because once you understand people's real motives, their fears, desires, and insecurities, you stop being fooled by appearances. You stop taking things personally. And that's the beginning of real clarity. Most people live in emotional fog, reacting to words, tone, or gestures without ever asking, why did they do that? Machiavelli called that blindness fatal. He said a wise person must look through behavior, not just at it. Someone insults you, maybe it's insecurity disguised as confidence. Someone flatters you, maybe it's manipulation disguised as kindness. Someone stays silent, maybe it's strategy, not submission. He wanted you to look at human behavior as a chessboard. Every move has intent, even when it looks random. That's what he meant by seeing clearly. It's not paranoia, it's perception. Here's where Stoicism aligns perfectly with Machiavelli. The Stoics taught that judgment creates suffering, not the event itself, but our emotional interpretation of it. Machiavelli, from his political tower, said the same thing in different words. Men are driven by necessity more than reason. In other words, people don't do what is right. They do what they must to protect their sense of power or comfort. So when someone betrays you, lies to you, or disappoints you, don't see it as a personal wound. See it as human nature doing what it does. Detach, observe, learn. That's not cynicism. It's freedom from emotional traps. Machiavelli's mirror forces you to confront a brutal truth. You can't change people. You can only understand them and adjust your expectations. That realization alone eliminates 80% of emotional chaos. You stop expecting honesty from the deceitful, loyalty from the opportunist, empathy from the selfish. Instead, you prepare, you plan, you stay centered. And when you stop expecting people to act against their nature, disappointment fades and clarity sharpens. There's a certain peace in this level of awareness. Imagine walking into a room full of emotions, anger, pride, envy, but none of it touches you because you see it all clearly, like a strategist watching a battlefield. You understand the motives, the illusions, the patterns. You're not cold, you're calm, and calm is terrifying to those who thrive on chaos. That's what Machiavelli meant by mental dominance. It's not about cruelty or control, it's about clarity. To see without judgment, to understand without reacting, to move without revealing your emotion, that's mastery. In his world, that skill kept you alive. In our world, it keeps you unshaken. Pain exposes people. Most try to escape it, hide it, or drown it. But the Stoics, and Machiavelli in his own ruthless way, saw pain as a teacher, not a punishment. They believed that suffering wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to reveal you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's not just poetic, it's tactical. Because every time life pushes you down, you're being given a test, not of strength, but of control. Can you stay steady when everything collapses? Can you think clearly when pain screams for reaction? That's Stoic immunity, not coldness, but composure. Most people think strength is about resistance, about fighting emotions, rejecting pain, denying fear. But that's not immunity, that's suppression. True Stoic immunity isn't built by denying pain, it's built by digesting it, by studying what it's trying to teach you. When Machiavelli observed how leaders fell, he noticed something. It wasn't the pain that destroyed them, it was the panic. The fear of discomfort, the refusal to adapt. He wrote that fortune favors the bold, not because boldness guarantees success, but because courage sharpens clarity. When you face hardship head-on, your mind becomes sharper than fear itself. That's why Stoics trained daily for adversity, mentally and physically. They practiced losing, missing, failing, so when real chaos hit, they were already immune. Imagine this: you're betrayed by someone you trusted. Most would spiral, rage, overthink, collapse. But a Stoic mind pauses. It asks, what's the lesson here? Because once you turn pain into information, it loses its sting. That's the difference between being emotional and being enlightened. Pain stops being punishment. It becomes data. It becomes training. Epictetus, a slave-turned-philosopher, said it best: we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most pain lives in our thoughts, replayed like a broken record. But if you treat each painful moment as a training session, not an attack, you build mental immunity stronger than steel. Machiavelli would have called this strategic suffering, the idea that pain can be leveraged to understand power, loyalty, and fear in yourself and others. He observed that the ones who endured pain without emotional collapse were the ones impossible to manipulate. Why? Because nothing frightened them anymore. If you can't be broken by pain, you can't be controlled by promises. If you don't fear loss, you can't be bribed with gain. That's emotional freedom, the highest form of strength. So how do you build this Stoic immunity in your own life? Start with small tests. When you're frustrated, breathe instead of reacting. When someone insults you, observe instead of striking back. When something goes wrong, adapt instead of blaming. Each time you choose composure over chaos, you're rewiring your mind. You're turning pain into power, reaction into wisdom, emotion into armor. And one day, what once crushed you will only sharpen you, because you've learned the ancient secret that both Machiavelli and the Stoics live by. Pain doesn't destroy the strong, it creates them. Most people think calmness is passive, that staying quiet means weakness, but in truth, calm is the sharpest weapon of them all. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He saw how chaos made people reveal their true selves, their fears, their greed, their desperation. In panic, even the mighty show their cracks, but the one who stays calm, the one who breathes when everyone else breaks, that person silently takes control of the room. That's cold clarity, the art of thinking clearly in emotional storms. Not numbness, not indifference, but strategy. Think of calm as a kind of invisible dominance. You don't need to raise your voice, you don't need to react, because control isn't about force. It's about focus. When you stay calm under pressure, people start orbiting around your stillness. They sense something unshakable, something rare. They can't read you, they can't manipulate you, and they start to wonder what you know that they don't. That's not luck, that's discipline. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Why? Because emotion delays intelligence. Calm brings timing, and timing is everything in power. The Stoics would call this equanimity, the ability to stay steady, no matter what the world throws at you. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm while everyone runs for cover. Rain slaps your face, thunder cracks above, yet you don't move. Not because you enjoy pain, but because you understand it will pass. That's what calm really is, clarity with patience. And the beauty of calm is that it multiplies your power. You start hearing things others miss. You start seeing moves before they happen. While they're reacting emotionally, you're already preparing strategically. Calm gives you time, and time is the most valuable weapon in any conflict. But here's the trick most never learn. Calm isn't natural, it's trained. You can't wait to be calm once chaos hits. You must practice it before the storm comes. Machiavelli trained his mind through observation. He studied people's patterns until nothing surprised him. The Stoics trained theirs through discipline, cold baths, silence, reflection, self-denial. Different methods, same purpose, to own their reactions before reality could, because the moment you lose your calm, you lose your control, and someone else gains it. Let's bring this closer to modern life. Think of arguments, competition, or social tension. Most people rush to respond, defend, explain, but if you stay silent just long enough, you'll watch emotion eat them alive. They'll reveal everything, their weakness, their impatience, their fear of not being understood, and when they do, your calm becomes command. The Stoics didn't preach coldness to be cruel. They did it to conserve energy for what truly mattered, action guided by reason. And that's what Machiavelli echoed, because real leaders, real thinkers, don't waste their fire on noise. They wait for precision. So when you feel that surge of anger or that impulse to react, pause, breathe, ask yourself, if I respond now, do I gain control or lose it? That one question will separate you from the emotional crowd, because while others chase reaction, you'll build reputation. While they seek to win the argument, you'll win the game, and that is the essence of cold clarity. Not to feel less, but to think more. To stay calm long enough for truth to rise above emotion. Because when the world burns, the calm man isn't passive. He's planning. Everything we've explored leads here to the highest form of power, self-control. Because when you master control, you stop being a pawn of circumstance and become the player of your own game. Machiavelli believed that fortune, fate, chaos, randomness, favors those who are prepared. And Stoicism believed the same. You can't command the world, but you can command yourself. That's where mental dominance is born, not in cruelty, not in manipulation, but in the quiet, relentless discipline of keeping your emotions in check while the world loses its mind. Entailed dominance isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about training them, like a soldier, not a prisoner. It's about being aware of anger, envy, or fear, but refusing to let them drive your decisions. Because emotion, left untrained, is chaos. But emotion, disciplined, becomes power. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire through plagues, wars, and betrayal. Yet his private writings never scream. They reflect. He trained his thoughts every night, asking, what's in my control? What's not? What can I learn from this? That's not just Stoic journaling, that's emotional conditioning. And Machiavelli, he studied men who ruled nations and fell because they couldn't rule themselves. They had crowns but lacked control. He saw how fear of loss made rulers cruel, how vanity made them blind, and how love, yes, even love, made them predictable. So he asked the only question that matters in power: who controls whom? When you control yourself, no one can control you. Think about how rare that is today. Most people are slaves to impulse, addicted to instant reactions, notifications, validation. Every beep, every buzz, every word online has the power to shift their mood. They call it connection, but it's really control by algorithms, opinions, emotions. But when you build mental discipline, silence becomes strength. You stop chasing every emotional spark and start protecting your peace like it's gold. You speak less, observe more, act when it's time, not when you're triggered. And that's when the world starts mistaking your calm for mystery, your patience for power. Because it is power. So how do you build this discipline? By repetition, by awareness, by practice. Every day you'll face small tests: anger, temptation, disappointment, fear. Each one is a chance to choose strength over reaction. When someone provokes you, stay silent. When you fail, stay composed. When life turns unpredictable, stay grounded. Not because you feel nothing, but because you understand everything. That's the essence of both Stoicism and Machiavellian intelligence: to play the emotional game without ever being played by it. And here's the final truth. Mental dominance isn't loud. It's quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. It shows itself through consistency, through restraint, through quiet victory after quiet victory. The Stoics called it virtue. Machiavelli called it power. But in the end, they both meant the same thing. Master yourself, and the world can't touch you. So the next time emotion tries to trap you, pause. Remember who's really in control. Because your mind is your kingdom. And if you learn to rule it, no one can ever rule you. If this message hit deep, don't just scroll. Think. Re-watch this when life tests you and remind yourself what calm, clarity, and control really mean. Subscribe to Mimar Red Frost for more Stoic and Machiavellian insights, where emotion ends and strategy begins.